it. We came. Oh no. It is a means to summon us.
Morgue Krypt Horror Fest 2025. I'm Rick Francis today. That's stage right there. We're from the First Society. Thank you all for coming out. How are you doing in Albuquerque? Are you guys ready for a little bit of hell to be raised up in this bitch? All right. From the Hellraiser franchise, welcome to the stage, the one and only Ashley Laurence. And, oh my God, oh boy, if this guy did not scare you growing up, then you are much braver than Zigzag, because this man is the hell priest of your dreams, Mr. Doug Bradley! Ziggy, take it away while I take care of the music.
Oh, music? Did you just call me the hell priest of your dreams? The hell priest of your dreams. I'll start with you, Ashley. Christy is one of the few horror heroines who uses wit and bravery rather than brute force. What drew you to this, and where do you see yourself in the reign of the final girls in the whole reign? Like in your position, you just kind of look at all of the final girls, where would you put Christy's character? Final girls? Final girls is a surprise. Yeah, like the Jamie Lee Curtises and all the, your girl from Friday the 13th to Jenny. Suspiria, exactly.
Oh, I'm just happy to be like in the mix.
And it's like your approach to the character, like your character used your mind and get out of it instead of attacking, fighting, stabbing.
Attention attendees, you are here for Arctic Now Solo.
Man, how rude! But anyways, it's a different approach. These dynamics with this killer going after the girl.
I run it so much to take my top off. So Clive actually was doing this, I told him that. We decided if I was going to do I should look like it. And I would ask him, okay, a scale of 1 to 10, how scale would be 11. But there was always that flight and fight. Because we just naturally have both. And Kirsty had a lot of fight, but also we went to leave. There was nothing to prove so much. I think that Clive had a particularly experiencing maybe a lot of women, and I think a really violent girl, what that really means.
Would you just put yourself on the top 10 of the final words?
Oh, I can't, because it's me, I'm subjective.
What do you think? What do you guys think? Number one! She's 5 points, I'm just saying.
Jamie Lee who?
Go ahead,
Well, I'll start with the Juby question. I'm just going to yell. I have one of those voices. I'm just going to start with a goofy question because, Mr. Bradley, do you ever feel like you want to take out your frustrations on any carpenters, people that work with hammers and nails, and string them up like you do the characters in the movies?
Manufacturers, dart bolts.
Yeah.
Questions.
Those assholes.
Yeah. Swing to disappoint.
Much kinder than I.
Let's get into things. We have such a unique horror villain, cerebral, calm, almost poetic.
If you have anything,
How do you approach getting ready for something? So,
we are just getting your position. We scan this session.
But yes, you approach.
What's the question?
How do you approach creating his presence, his whole thing?
Well, acting. Having said that, obviously approaching a character like this is a unique thing. Dreamt up by Clark. So I'm stepping into his imagination in order to be able to play this character. And all the normal average questions that an actor would ask about his character approaching play, like what car do I drive, am I into sports, and if I am, do I favour football over baseball, all of that, that's the plot.
Right.
Nor, as far as I'm aware, is there anywhere I can go to watch Cenobites work. That should be the case. I knew I was going to be playing the character for quite a long way. And I was looking at sketches and drawing and I'm having conversations with him, who was giving me, poetic insights, really, into the character, not necessarily precise psychological things, because they don't really apply here. But he told me things like that I should look on him as a cross between a butcher and a monk. And that I'm the surgeon in a hospital in which there are no wards, only operating theatres. But as well as being the chief surgeon, I'm also the head administrator. I'm responsible for keeping the trainings running on time. So with those kind of insights, I've read the Hellraiser Panel. Then it's the screenplay, read the screenplay, and obviously one of the things that struck me, because I had worked with Clive for so long, I was very familiar with Clive in his high poetic song. I was not familiar with Clive in the what the fuck, do the fuck, get the fuck off me. Kind of movie ease that he was writing in for the screenplay of Hellraiser, and I could feel it.
Do we have anybody for the Terrifier trio? Anybody else out here for the Terrifier trio?
Would you shut the hell up? Jesus Christ, we're trying to do something in here.
No idea where I was.
Thank you.
Yes, so I could feel it kind of, keeping it down. And then I arrived, and it felt to me like Clive went, thank God, and let the handbrake on. So the tone of language employed for me is entirely different.
This is the last call for the Terrifier trio.
No, nobody's interested, shut up. The language is important for me, poetic, as we mentioned, radically different from the way that anyone has saw this before, which I did observe when I was reading the screenplay. Well, this is authentic. This is going to fall on people's ears in a very different way from anything else they've learned until this point. So it's that, and then it's the process of having the life cast done for me, and looking at more sketches, and then going through a lot of costume fitting sessions with the magnificent, wonderful Jane Rowlands, who designed, working with Clive, designed and made all the Cenobites costumes.
They were all
Aviators leathers, aviators leather, all Brilliant, brilliant.
For that time, you were way ahead. Way ahead.
And the patience of the artistry into
But you know, finally,
This is your last call.
you settle and somebody says action, and you start, you know it works.
Let me ask you this real quick, guys. There was a rumor, maybe you can squash this or dispel it once and for all, that you requested not to play Pinhead, but to play the mover number 2.
Well, I just think of this.
Brilliant.
How's something that simply got you?
I had this conversation
Okay.
3 times. I take around. No, it's short. No, I said this once in one interview, way back when, right after Hellraiser. I said in the interview that I had, as I've been describing to you, I'd known from a long way out, I was going to play them.
It makes sense.
Then there came the point when Chris said, our producer, called me on the phone and he said, okay, it's time for you to talk to Ian and get a contract done. You should be aware that there is one other venue, and there is a mattress delivery. Now, what I said to the interviewer was, Hellraiser was my first movie, and putting a purely objective actor's head on, I thought maybe there is an advantage to be appearing in this movie as me, so that people see me. And if I'm going to future auditions, people say, well, what have you done recently? I can say, well, I was in Hellraiser, and maybe they remember my unforgettable appearance as mattress delivery guy. So it was that brief, because Hellraiser was my first movie, I was thinking that. Did I know what was going to happen to Hellraiser? Of course I did. Did I know what was going to happen with Pinhead? Of course I did. I was playing a character without a name, covered in latex, being paid union minimum rates for pleasure. My expectations were not necessarily high, but it was a momentary thing. There was never any doubt in my head what I was going to do. I told that story once to one interviewer. The fucking thing has followed me around. The sour fart. And I cannot shake my living the age of the internet, denials is absolutely good whatsoever. But no, it is true.
Not true. There you go, folks. Busted. Myth busted.
I have a question for Ashley. In this world now that we're in of, I don't want to necessarily say remakes, but like legacy sequels, where would you see Percy coming back these many years later? Would it be slapping the shit out of people that make these announcements all every 3 months?
So could you kind of reiterate the question?
If you saw a legacy sequel from Hellraiser, or where would you see, you could erase some of the sequels if you wanted to, where would you see your character coming back in a legacy sequel?
Yeah, Christy, 35 years later.
I should have a lot of daddy issues.
She's a therapist, shouldn't have got over that.
Well, do we want to throw it to the audience? I think that's a good. If you got anything else with your question, either of our guests, line up with phase and step up to the mic.
Now's the time.
Yeah, don't be shy.
The guy with the Hellraiser jersey. I love
She
it.
just admitted to having daddy issues. Don't be shy.
Several questions, if I could. When you first got into costume, Mr. Bradley, and you saw the other Cenobites, what was your reaction? And when you got into costume and saw the other 3 Cenobites, what was your main reaction? And then, Ashley, what was your, the first scene? And then the second question for you, Ashley, is they're showing this up here. When Chatterer put his fingers in your mouth, did at least chase like cherry, or you have something for you can. Thank you.
RC Cola. Well, my first point was the first time I had the makeup on, which was when I screen tested the makeup. And that had taken about 6 hours on that day. I had 15-20 minutes in the makeup chair on my own, just staring into the mirror. What is this? I disappeared. I'm completely spaced out. All that.
We want to thank everybody for your patience and your
So, I just start, this process. Hi. Who are you? I think that was, what's that? You, yeah. The costume was not as brilliant as James' costume was. Costumes in subsequent movies got easier for me to wear, but I would absolutely have sacrificed the comfort to continue with James' costume. We would corset again, which actors tend to be great for, because corsets do nice things to your figure. But it was not comfortable. It was restrictive. The collar was high, and it was, it meant I couldn't move my head easily. I wasn't able to bend my arm. Also, it was a weird thing where I had a leotard on that had the chest pieces and the belly button glued to it. And then the jacket went over the top of that, and then fishnets went through the flesh bits, and the tool belt went through the belly button. So now the jacket is attached to the leotard. So, it was quite a three-ring circus, the whole process. And then trying to avoid tripping over my skirt. I don't really, I'm trying to remember the first time I saw Simon and Grace, as it was in the first movie, in their entirety. I probably couldn't see them very well, because I also got the black contact lenses in, which were not made to my prescription. It was kind of dark and hazy to me. So, and you kind of, you're focused on what you're doing. But, aware we were an extraordinary band of whatever the fuck it was we were.
Thank you.
So you may be being hazed by this child, and I sense great suffering going on that way. I don't know what you can do.
Could you reiterate your question?
What was your first reaction to seeing everybody's costume yesterday?
Well, it was interesting because they had come in so early because they had so many hours of costume. A lot of times I was just acting 2 pieces of masking tape, as you were as well, right? I know, right? I know, right? But when I saw it, the beauty of it, the artistry of it, the detail, the grace of it, they were exquisite. And then this scene, I guess they did something funny. But that was one of the days that the investors came. They wanted to see what so that was about 5 days of Nick trying to. I didn't know the innuendo. I was so young when I remember seeing it. Like, I had no idea that there was any other
Hands up if you hate the word.
No, and there was so much smoke, and a lot of times, they would use a smoke machine that was oil-based, which is illegal now. So everyone was masked but me. And I'm like, is this okay? They're like, totally safe. A lot of times you couldn't hear because of big fans, smoke machines, and like you said, I didn't have contacts, but the vision was obscured, and if he got to be there, he's behind the camera, behind something else, and sort of, you know, we're trying to make eye contact with one another through that. But it was more energetic, I would sense when he was there.
Well, the appearance of the Cenobites in the hospital, we were not on set together for that. It was all done entirely separately. It was a pretty elaborate process. I mean, actually, you mentioned the big fans, none of them as big as you. They call them Ritter fans, and they are enormous. They're like 10 feet high.
Full-on 80s video.
And they are extremely loud and very powerful. My main problem was I was aware that it was lifting the corner of my contact lens off my eye. That's how powerful the fans are. And of course, I'm trying not to blink because, you know, undercuts the power. You know, I'll tell you something.
You have a nervous twitch.
Yes.
It's stressful.
It should be normal. What's with you? You got a problem? Dry eye? So, and I had the script supervisor, the continuity girl, sitting underneath one of the Ritter fans, reading Ashley's lines in a very flat, disinterested voice, and I could scarcely hear anyone. We tended to shoot most of my lines in that scene separately. Also because Clive hit on the brilliant idea that when I said, we'll tear your soul apart, it would be really, really cool if two things happened. One, that I had smoke coming out of my mouth when I speak. And I was a smoker there. So I'm on my mark with one of the special effects makeup crew down here. And he's passing a cigarette now.
Right?
Action. We'll tear your soul apart. Great. Cheap applause at once every time. And Clive says, it's great. Let's go again.
What's ahead?
There you go.
But it also, if you've ever tried that, you know what tends to happen is that all the smoke comes out on the first word. Clive also then thought it would be a really cool idea to put one of the small smoke machines between my feet under my skirt. And just pump smoke out, which showed up my skirt, and then it found its way up through available holes and exit points in the wardrobe. So the smoke kind of coming out, which is exactly like one of the illustrations that Clive drew in it. And Clive's thrilled by this. It's fantastic. It looks like you come straight from the pits of hell. We can smell the sulfur and the bitumen. It's amazing. It just looks great. The next time I came to work, Selwyn Roberts, our first AD, said to me, hi Doug, we've got some good news and some bad news. The good news, I was being paid by the day in Hellraiser. The good news is for another day's filming. The bad news is we have to do the hospital scenes over again. And I said, oh, why? And he said, well, you know Clive's idea with the smoke machine? It doesn't work. It looks as though you're on fire. It looks like we're waiting for someone to run into the side of the fire extinguisher. So we have to do it again. Thank you. I don't know what the question was.
We got another question coming through.
Hi. What do you guys think about the new reimagining of Pinhead?
I'm partial to that.
Me too. Me too. But I was just wondering because like a lot of people say that because they're not supposed to have gender and stuff like that. That's closer to the actual book. But I like yours better.
They're not supposed to.
They're not supposed to have gender, which is they're like, because it's that whole pain and pleasure, and so they're just kind of they're everything and nothing at the same time.
Well, I point out in the Hellbound Heart when the Cenobites first appear to Frank, and Clive describes the Pinhead Cenobite who doesn't have a name. He starts to talk, and Clive has said Frank had difficulty identifying the speaker's gender. So that haziness is there.
Okay.
I would suggest right from the get-go. I wore a skirt.
He looks good in it.
Very au courant. I really liked the redesign of the makeup. It seemed to me a very brave thing to try to do, and I thought they'd done it very well. And I felt the same way about the costume and the change in palette to those kind of pinks and purples, the dawn and the intestines.
Yeah.
I liked all of that. And my Pinhead's very,
Itching.
Yes.
Yeah. In spite of the skirt, it's very much a dude as a Cenobite. It's very in your face. Here we are, this is what we are, and this is what we'll do to you. Okay? Got that? It's very boom. And to be honest, I was getting a bit bored in the film, and when Jamie Clayton appeared on the screen for the first time, I perked up. So I thought, wow. Now what? Because the image is very still, almost small. Jamie's tiny, there's nothing rather across the shoulders. And I thought she looked rather doll-like, rather childlike. I wanted a voice to match it. I wanted something very quiet, very unsettling. Because television's just wanted to slide in on me. And then they gave her a voice that sounded a bit like mine.
Yeah.
I actually, sitting in my lazy boy at home, I said, what the fuck are you doing? It didn't match the image.
No. And that's why I was wondering, because it was like, I'm kind of like you. Like.
Then I kind of felt like, having established a Cenobite, I didn't know what to do. There was that shot of Jamie standing on the water from a distance, which was didn't amount to anything. It would go, like, I think Chapter has 2 shots and done. I thought the design elements in the film were by far and away the strongest. They were beautiful and wired.
Yeah, I agree with you that she could have been.
Overall, I was a bit mad because I didn't think the basic story was strong enough. Like, compared with Hellraiser, the basic story is so strong and so good. Regardless, never mind the Cenobites and the mech configurations, and the basic story is very strong.
Thank you.
Hey, I don't know about everyone else, but I'm really stoked for the new Hellraiser game that's coming out. And you had confirmed that you are actually doing the voice for Pinhead in that game. I was wondering a couple questions. Is there any way that you can give us kind of a spoiler for the game? Maybe like a line that you're going to be saying from the video game, or is that out of the question?
I can't remember specific lines. Lets me off the hook on that one. So yes, I've done the recording. There is a teaser out there which will give you.
Yeah, I saw that teaser. It doesn't really show a whole lot, but
No, it is only a teaser. I think people get the impression that it was a trailer.
yeah. Oh, okay.
But it was only a teaser, and because people thought it was a trailer, I think they thought the game's going to be out in a couple of weeks. It will be longer than that.
Oh, yeah.
I was very pleasantly surprised by it because I sort of expected that I'd be rocking up, to rerun the greatest hits. No Tears Please, and then Tear the Souls Apart, and all of that. And it wasn't that at all. Now, I know Clive has been very heavily involved in it, and I think it shows. So it was almost like having a new script for me. And they've taken the character in a slightly new direction, which took me by surprise. But I give credit to them for doing that. Going to other places. I have a lot to say in it, and it's all new stuff. I don't really know any more than that, to be absolutely honest with you.
Okay.
Now, I've seen some of the graphics, but by no means everything. What I've seen was very exciting. My comparison with Dead by Daylight, where I know you could play either against Pinhead or as Pinhead, new game, you will always be playing as the one guy, excuse me, who is trying to save his girlfriend's soul.
And my other question was for Ashley. Oh, I just want to mention, Ashley, you don't look like you've aged a single day since the movie. I wanted to ask you, do you know if Kirsty's going to be in the game at all? Is there any involvement with Kirsty in the game?
I haven't heard anything.
Okay, I just wanted to ask. Okay, thank you.
No soups here.
I believe her. They lie sometimes. I believe her.
Don't pull poker face.
Just saying, we've been right before.
So, Pinhead, Christy, it's an honor to meet you both. I gotta say, though, you guys have really, in Hellraiser 1, you really did bring hell on earth. So tell me, on Hellraiser 2, how was it for you guys? I mean, for Christy to travel through hell itself, assuming she was looking for her father, yet Pinhead was there, he's like the devil. I mean, how was it like for you guys there, for the whole film? What was it like to you guys in that certain way?
It was wonderful to work with him, as usual. So I was grateful for that. We have a really good alchemy, the group of us. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, from the way it looks, it kind of seems like Dante's Inferno, in a certain way. So, also for you, my friend, with your friend, everybody, how had it felt for you to find out that, for your character Pinhead, to find out his human identity? How was that for you?
You mean the reversion to human?
Yes, as Pinhead and the other Cenobites.
It actually made a lot of sense to me. I mentioned sitting in front of the mirror in the makeup room, and I was kind of getting a lot of sense impressions coming back from the mirror about this thing looking back at me. And one was a sense of melancholy in it. And from talking to Clive, I knew that he had been human. We never talked about a backstory. So I didn't know whether that was last week, last year, 1,000 years ago. I had no idea. Only that I had once been human. So I kind of tied that to to that sense of melancholy, and also to answer the question in my head why he's so interested in people. Oddly, he's quite a people's person.
Yeah.
He likes to engage.
Every time someone sells a box, he gets to know the humans who've done it. That's a good people person idea right there.
So when we came to Hellraiser, and the backstory was introduced at the beginning of the film, and then we visited it at the end, it actually all made beautiful, perfect sense. Elliot had never been discussed until that point. But now I have a specific place, a specific human being, a specific time, and a specific set of experiences through the First World War and giving Hellbound, still in the British Army now, putting down the Indian mutinies in the early 1980s. So that all knit together for me, so it made sense of that moment when Kirsty shows me a photograph. It's kind of abrupt, but
And when you were facing against that Cenobite doctor, that doesn't seem like Pinhead there for that street open. It seemed like Alex Spencer himself defending the girl, and you, Christy, able to help save a soul. And we thank you for that. After all, he's been through hell itself when he was a human, but he doesn't deserve to be in hell itself. But yet somehow his evil was too strong to be destroyed. Big surprise.
I think what you're saying too, that Pinhead has almost empathetic understanding of blood and viscera. There's a real intimate relationship where if you didn't have that backstory, you might not understand kind of what we're here in the middle.
I'm nodding. Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Well, it's fascination with people. Goes to fascination with bodies and ick.
Yeah, well, as Dante used to say, the journey through paradise begins in hell, and people have been through hell and back, like literally many times in their lives.
One thing I'd say to that, though, is there's never hell in Hellraiser. It's never established in relation to Christian theology. There's never any mention of the devil or Satan. And in fact, you get at the beginning of Hellbound, when Kirsty, Frank? I can't remember now.
With the I'd rather be part. Oh yeah, with the photos of Daddy.
He's using his own hell child.
Yes, you already know.
Do I say that? You do. I do.
Yeah, you did.
So that's the idea. It's almost the idea that hell is a personally created place, I think, in Hellraiser. You quoted Dante, I'll give you back John Milton. His introduction to Paradise Lost, the quote, with apologies to the great man, I'll probably paraphrase it badly, but he says that to the effect that the mind is a place entire of itself and can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven.
Right.
That's his beginning place, and I think that's actually, I know Paradise Lost was hugely influential. I think that feeds into Hellraiser.
I agree with that. I agree with you there.
About time for one more, right?
Maybe one or two.
One or two.
Can we get?
All right, I will. Time to go.
While you were filming, what did you think of the movie? Did you have any idea it would become what it is?
No. But there was a very kind of warm alchemy happening. It definitely, everyone was so invested and so connected and so happy to be there. And you could feel a level of creative fluidity and excitement, and it was effortless in that way. which doesn't listen.
No. No, I didn't. Though we were halfway through Hellraiser when word came from the world that they wanted a sequel because they were beginning to get excited by what they were seeing and seeing as the possibilities. But no, I mean, I've said before, you know, as playing a character with no name covered in latex on screen for less than 10 minutes, I didn't have the highest of expectations. I will also put this in the context of spending 10 years working with Clive, he and I both thought, we all thought, extraordinary work was being almost completely ignored by everybody in London where we were based at the time. So I think inevitably, I had some of that conditioning in my head. I had this conversation with Clive, I think last year, the last convention we did. Last year, we were doing photo walks, and he and I are sitting, there's logs in the photo walks. He and I are sitting on chairs together at the front, and there's this never-ending line of people coming in for photo walks. And I just then I said to Clive, "What the fuck did you do?" And Clive said, if I'd known, I wouldn't have done it. He said, "Did you ever see any of this coming?" And I said, "No. I knew we were doing something good. I knew what you created was, as usual, extraordinary. I thought we might, you know, this is all while we're also through photo ops. I thought we would make a little bit of a splash, and I thought we might hang around for a few weeks or a few months, and then it would go away and it would be gone." Clive said, "Ah, well, you were more optimistic than I was." So no, I think you don't see these things coming. You can't plan for them. I think if you plan to be a successful franchise, you're almost guaranteed to fail. You know, and all the major franchises that came out of that time, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and Hellraiser, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you know, they all happen in the same way. It's the first movie being made for not very much money, you know, very often first-time directors, and boom, something explodes, and suddenly you'll have a Friday the 13th franchise, and have a Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
You came out of it, I mean, that was the thing, at that time, slashes were still big stuff. You came and created something so fresh and new in the horror genre, it really was holistic. I think we kind of put the boost back in that time and set it on another trajectory for a long while without it.
I think you're right, but one of the things I pointed out is that at its heart, Hellraiser is a slasher movie. And I suggested that you could, if you can do this game in your head, take the Cenobites and the Lament configuration out of that film completely. They don't exist. I've never thought of them. They're not there. That story is still intact.
One of the greatest villains of all time outside of Pinhead. I'm talking about the mom.
Julia. You've got Julia and Larry coming back to the house. You've got Kirsty and a strange relationship with her father, and that's all there. And then you've got Julia's memories of her fling with Frank. You need to find another reason for Frank to die in the house, but that's not difficult. And then the mattress is delivered by me, and the blood goes through the floorboards, and Frank comes back to life, and all the skin man stuff is intact, and you're still going out to find balding British businessmen in this now unnamed American city, to bring them back and beat their brains out with a hammer and feed their blood to skinned Frank. And then Frank gets in Larry's skin, and you need to find another way courtesy to say, David, that's not difficult. And there you are. It may be a slight goal, but it's a strong, serviceable 1980s slasher movie. And then Clive says, wait, watch this. And he takes this little grain of pure Gothic horror that is out of time and out of place, and he drops it big into the middle of that story, and the whole thing goes boom. Yeah. And it's now operating on so many I'm very excited because you could show images of the Cenobites of the 14th century monk, and he'd get it.
Yeah.
He'd know exactly what he was looking for.
We may have time for one more quick one. I hope you got a quick one for the guy.
I don't even have a question. I just wanted to say that I love the Hellraiser franchise so much because, you know, you have the Jasons, the Freddys, and all those, and I love them, but they never really got to me as deep as Hellraiser did. Hellraiser scared the crap out of me growing up as a kid, and I remember my dad had a mint configuration sitting in his cabinet, and he put money in there. I still don't know what's in there, but he told me if I ever opened it, I can have what's in there. But I just want to say thank you because the whole franchise is just freaking awesome.
I think we can all agree on that. So there you have